Well, all right. Kevin McIver, it is it was a pleasure writing this song with you, and I th-
Likewise.
I think that we ought to tell the fine folks of the interwebs and the YouTube world how this song came to be and why they should listen to it on repeat for the rest of their lives.
Absolutely. Well, let's tell them how we met first.
All right, everybody loves a good "when I met you" story. So, I joined NSAI because I wanted to get more serious about songwriting. And the very first meeting, I meet you, and we, everybody had an opportunity to share kind of their songs and the story behind the song, or to talk a little bit about themselves. And while you were explaining your song, I was like, man, the way that you said that, your wife and you were in your car and you saw a situation, and that gave birth to a title. I was like, that happens in my car too. And just the more that you talked, I was like, man, it really felt like we had some similarities. And then I listened to the way you wrote your song, and it's very similar to the types of styles that I write well in. So I was like, I'm gonna send this guy a message and just see what happens. And then with a cool last name too, like McIver. Like
Yeah.
I figured we could craft us one heck of a song here.
I'm going to say that. I'm going to just say it. I think this is a great song.
That's I I agree with that, and I know that songwriter circles kind of reserve that word "great" for when something is truly great, and because it can get overused, and they'll say it,
Yeah.
time and time again. You'll hear people say, "Oh, good songs are written, great songs are rewritten," and we've done a few rewrites on this one to make sure that it was a great song.
Well, that's why I'm saying it because I think it really is great. Now, a couple times in some of the first drafts, I've played it at a couple of writers' nights, and honestly, man, just the feedback I got was it's really good, really well written, really current. So when I say great, I'll be more specific and say what other people have said. It sounds current and fresh. It sounds, like modern, and it sounds just really good, really, really well melodically. So,
I'll give you total credit for that one because when we first started, you said, well, we got a good line work in here. Let's try to get a melody going for it. And what you came back with was it was a great chord progression. It was a great use of variations of chords, and and I mean, we didn't stick with the original line that we had. We wound up changing that line, but the melody itself didn't change, and that chord progression didn't change. So
can you remember what title we originally started with? I couldn't think of it.
I don't remember the title, but I think the only thing that we kept was kind of the setting, the motif of being on the beach,
Right. Yeah.
and um, but it's funny because thinking back on it, I can't remember the title. And when I was explaining it to you, you were like, "Okay, yeah, we could go with that." And
Yeah.
and and at some point, when we got to the end of the chorus or the pre-chorus or something, you came up with "I'm done," and like it just seemed to go.
That's
And
right.
I was like, "That's our title. That's got to be our title." And I think we kind of laughed about it for a minute, and we're like, "Are we serious?" And
It's a great idea.
yeah, I'm glad that we shifted gears when we did because I think it turned it into a much stronger song and a much better concept.
I think that's a great example of the song just kind of choosing what it wanted to be. And that's a great example of the saying, the song is king. We didn't say no, no, we're going to stick with that title, that we came up with, and we're going to just not deviate from it. But the song decided it wanted to be done.
Right,
I'm done.
right. That's a fact. That's a fact. And I remember the funny moment too when it was finally complete and we said, "Okay, I'm done."
Yeah. Now there was a moment there where I was done, and I know you were getting frustrated with me about that.
I wouldn't call it a frustration, really. I think what it came from was, going back to when you had said about there wasn't a lot of co-writing going on. You were the first person that I had actually had a genuine co-write with, because I'd been just kind of surfing the interwebs looking for people to co-write with, and everybody talks a big game. Yeah, man, we'll get together, we'll co-write, but nobody ever pans out. They always have some sort of excuse. At least the experiences that I had. After the co-write with you, you were the first person that said, "Yeah, let's do it." And so it was fun. So it wasn't really a frustration with, not jumping in to finish the song. And we had a holiday in the middle there, and two holidays actually, two major holidays.
Holidays.
Yeah, yeah. So, and I mean, you got a big family, I got a big family, so a lot was going on in both households. So it wasn't really a frustration of not writing with you. It was more along the lines of an excitement to finish this thing up, because I really thought that we had something. And I know that you felt pretty strongly about the song too, so I wanted to make sure that we got what we.
Well, a lot of times, man, like, I mean, yeah, if it's a song that I didn't care about, we actually finished the song at one point. And that's when I played at those writers' nights. It was after the first write or two, that we had. And I played it, got some good feedback, but there's a couple lines in there that I'm just super unsure about. Like, I don't know, I just cringe when I come upon those lines. You know what I mean? And I know we could do better. And so I was like, instead of this song just sitting on a folder and just that's where it lives, I want this song in my catalog. I want to play this song. I want to be proud of every single line, and I know we could do it. So yeah, man, it was the holidays. We had been working on it for like a month or something like that. And I just kind of felt like burned out, and I wanted to just take the holidays and just kind of break away from it. And then you texted me and asked kind of what was going on, if I was just kind of ghosting you. It's like, no, man, I literally was sitting in a Cracker Barrel parking lot, like when the you sent me that work tape of that new first verse, the one that's our first verse now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I liked it, man. I was like, I like this. This is cool. We just got to come up with like that second verse and then something in the second pre to top what we had. So when you did that, I was like, all right, I think we can do this. I just needed to kind of just rest from it. You ever play a video game and you're just like trying to beat this hard level and you can't do it and you just stop, and then the next day you come back and you beat it like the first time you played.
Tear it up, yeah.
That's what it was like. That's what I saw this like.
For sure. Well, and it was, we came out of the gate swinging too. That chorus came together so fast, and then the pre-chorus came together too, and we were like, man, this is pretty incredible. We're a great writing duo. And then we got to the verses, and it was like, all right, how do we get here? How do we get to that great chorus? So. And we had some stupid line about blue blocker sunglasses in there, and we had like all.
Yeah. It was descriptive, though. I mean, it was descriptive.
Yeah.
I liked it. I just didn't love it. You know what I mean?
Right.
I loved the chorus and the pre-chorus, but I didn't love the verses, and I wanted to love the verses. And I feel like if we can love all of it, then we really have a great song on our hands.
Yeah.
And our song, or at least a song that we really just love and are proud of. So final iteration on it, man. I love it. I love the song.
I'm with you on that.
I told my kids last night I'm going to record a new album, and I think this one I want to cut this one.
That's awesome. Well, then, shoot, man, I'm doing great. My very first co-write, I got a cut. They say it's easier when you write with the artist, though. So
Yeah. Well, I'd rather have a cut by Kenny Chesney, man. That'd be great. So it is kind of that vibe, like it's that ocean, island, beachy type vibe that you hear from Kenny Chesney and Zach Brown and guys like Jimmy Buffett, I guess.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. That'd be a cool thing. I do think that someone like that. I had pitched to NSA a song to one of the NSAI critiques a couple months ago. One of the things he said, now it wasn't this song, it was a different song, but he said, could you really hear this being sung like in a, and I'm like, nah, I don't think so. But this one, I think I could hear it.
Yeah. Yeah. And what I like about it too is it comes in with frustrations, and they're normal frustrations that people in 2020, 2022, 2024, 25 are experiencing, but it doesn't come in such a heavy way that it's preachy, right? It comes in and it helps you relate to, like, you're not alone. Like, everybody feels these same frustrations, and I would like to think that everybody's had that moment where they go, you know what, I'm done. I'm not doing this crap anymore. I'm just gonna take off, and then our brain takes over and we go to wherever it is. And in the case of this song, man, we're going someplace tropical.
Yeah, that's right. I need a think I need a think I need a shoreline
A
destination.
shoreline destination.
Right.
That's right. So one of the things I wanted to mention, when you had talked about, I sent you the text message like, hey, what's going on? What's up here? Um, I I want you to know that in that moment, I wasn't frustrated or anything like that. I was genuinely curious. I asked you the question. I was like, was something wrong with the co-write? Because, like, I didn't want to burn a bridge. You were the very first co-write that I had, and I was like, oh man, I hope I didn't either come on too strong or like request or throw out some dumb lines or something. And you were like, who is this guy? He's so far below where we should be.
Man, I didn't feel that way at all. I honestly, I appreciate your grace and your humility during that time, to reach out like that. Because if you wouldn't, it may have been that I just kind of did so, forget this song because this happened. It happens.
Yeah, yeah.
But this one, I think we both felt so strongly about it that we wanted to really fight for it or complete it. And I think what I was frustrated a little bit about, if I'm being 100% honest, was just, it's crazy, man. It's like what I was frustrated about was exactly what the song needed to be great, was that I just felt like we couldn't agree on lines.
Right.
And I know you felt that way.
Right.
But now on the other side of it, looking back, I feel like that's what made the song so good. The fact that you didn't settle and with lines that I there was times where I was like, that's done. That song's done. It's done. Pun intended. It's done, and I don't know why he doesn't like this. It's perfect. But now what we have now is better than those lines that I suggested or the ones that you suggested when you might have thought it was done. And I think we both kind of just, grinded until we got a song that we both loved.
Yeah.
So what I was frustrated about actually ended up becoming the thing that made the song great. So I'm appreciative of you towards that, for that.
Well, I appreciate that, good sir. And it's funny too how, I think I mentioned it a bunch of times when we were just chatting in between the song, like, we're so similar in some of the ideas that we have outside of songwriting, just, in life in general and directions that we want to go. So when you had sent that message back and you said, yeah, I'm not 100% on some of these lines, I was like, I'm glad you said that, because there was a few of them that I definitely felt like we could revisit too. And I agree with you 100%. Having that time away from it and thinking about it a little bit, like, I'm one of those guys that gets a lot of ideas either while I'm driving or while I'm in the shower or something like that. So, a line will hit me at 2 o'clock in the morning. I'll wake up, I'll write it down, and then, at some point I wind up back in the document and I'm going, oh, this would work better here, So,
Yeah.
and I think you're kind of similar, because when you sent me a message, you're like, man, I put some lines in the document, check them out and see what you think. And I was like, those are the ones I was thinking about too. So I'm glad that you brought those options and didn't give up on the song, and didn't give up on me as a co-writer, and didn't give up on the process as a whole. Because I agree with you. We've got something cool here. I really love this song.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, man. There was a time where I had woke up at like 5 a.m, just couldn't sleep. So I just went there and said, you know what, I'm going to work on I'm Done. And I think I put like 10 verses or something. A lot of them were like, variations of the same thing. But yeah, man.
Sometimes that's what it takes, though. Just writing, there's a different word between maybe and, should, and, it flows different, it sings different. And I think that there was a couple times where we even said, like, that's the line. And then as soon as you put it in the song and you try to sing it and you go, ooh, that feels weird. That's not the line.
Yeah. Didn't sing well or something.
Yeah. So what do we want to do next? Do we want to talk about, we want to kind of show the lyrics? Do we want to?
Yeah, let's do the lyrics. And then after that, we can kind of talk about some pre-production stuff.
All right. So here we go. Here's here's the lyrics of our awesome song.
Mm-hmm.
So earlier I talked about, we kind of the first verse goes into some common frustrations, but it doesn't get too heavy and too preachy. And I feel like I've been handcuffed to a screen. Who doesn't feel that these days? They're everywhere. Everywhere you look, there's a screen. Sometimes I saw something that said like at any given point, most of us have 2 or 3 screens in front of our face. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
We've got one right now.
Yeah, I have 2. My phone's right here too.
Yeah.
So, and then the monthly fees, that was a big sticking point, man. Like everything throughout the whole thing, we knew that one had to stay because that's what everybody's going through. You can't even just like buy a CD anymore, right? You got to subscribe to something or.
Yeah. Yeah, like originally we had subscription fees, but we didn't think subscription fees fit sang quite as well.
Yeah, yeah. And then yeah, man, that first verse really just builds that hopelessness and that pre leads right into it too, huh? All the stress and aggravation. That is what that first verse is all about.
Mm-hmm.
Getting into I'm so thankful that you threw that "I'm done" line out.
Yeah, yeah.
And then we've got our little "Ain't Waiting on 5 o'clock," our little uh, hat tip to hat tip to Jimmy Buffett there and Alan Jackson.
Well, I think that's so cool too because I mean you hear, oh, it's 5 o'clock or it's 5 o'clock somewhere. We're like, I ain't waiting on 5 o'clock.
Right? Yeah, we're checking out now. I'm out. Yep. Yep. And then we start to we allude to the fact, because that was kind of a tropical vibe, so we allude to it here, a little foreshadowing, a little more foreshadowing, and then the indefinite vacation. That when you came off with indefinite vacation the first time, I thought, I don't know if I'm crazy about that word, but the more that we talked about it, we're like, yeah, man, because how many times have you heard permanent vacation too? And so I that one didn't hit me at first, but it wore me down, and I'm like, it's the right line.
It grew on you.
It did. It sure did. And then we get into that second verse, just talking about that dream. Getting out into into our headspace and going, man, what would I be doing right now if I was not stuck here? If I could just check out and leave right now, where would I go?
Mm-hmm.
And I think the scenery here is good. We're getting the steel drums in there. Putting the life on cruise was good.
I mean, man, I used to live in Lakeland, Florida, and if you know where Lakeland is, it's between Orlando and Tampa, and it's all very tropical. That middle Florida, or really most of Florida, period, is just. See, in my imagination, I imagined him just jumping on I-95 and heading straight down to Florida, the Florida Keys or something like that. So in my mind, that's kind of where he is. But it could be anywhere, Costa Rica, Mexico, anything, Bahamas. But in my mind, he just jumped on 95, hit I-4, and went straight into like the Keys or whatever. So yeah, man. I mean, you could literally Lakeland, Florida, Orlando, Tampa, St. Pete, that whole area would fit this too. And you could be there in 8 hours. You can literally leave right now and be there by like 7 p.m.
Yeah. Yeah, that certainly adds to the allure, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I got to put this out there just because of how funny it wound up being. When we thought the song was done or close to done, there was a line in here about the Gulf of Mexico. And and since the time of when we thought it was done and the time that it was actually done, it's not the Gulf of Mexico anymore. So we'd have had to rewrite anyways.
Well, I thought of that. I was like, yeah, yeah, but that's cool.
Yeah. And then we're all the way down to the second pre. That's just talking about something cold and fruity, and then it don't matter what I'm doing.
And we chose not to. I love that line. Like we literally struggled with this. We wrestled with this line a little bit. We like the something cold and fruity line because it could be a like an alcoholic beverage,
It could
which
be a
is
simple
probably
lemonade too.
like a Bahama Mama or a Hurricane, like you like. And it could be something like that, or it could just be, like it could be something like a popsicle.
Yeah.
So it's just something, it could be that, but it alludes to it, but it could also be more family friendly. Which is always good for me because my kids are big fans of my songs, as I'm sure yours are,
Right.
Doris. Any chance I get to kind of swerve from that stuff, the better, just for my personal writing and style.
Right, right. And I think leaving it that way, we talked about that, leaving it the way that it is there, it was something where the listener gets to decide what it is.
Exactly.
I've seen people on the side of the beach with the carts, selling actual
Yeah.
fruit cups, that are just cold and fruity. So,
Exactly.
the listener gets to decide what version of the story they want to paint or live in. So,
I was telling my kids a story last night. As a matter of fact, I was in Honduras, Roatan Island, actually, off the coast of Honduras, and there was a couple dudes selling coconuts, and they would literally, you'd pay them like $5, and they would climb all the way up a coconut tree and get you a coconut. And hey, I mean, it might not be cold, but it's fruity. It could literally be anything.
for sure.
But I liked going in. I really loved saying maybe then it won't matter what I'll be doing, because I think what we struggled with is trying to figure out what we were going to say for maybe then it won't matter. I mean, we had put all kind of things, like we talked about buoy at one point, and we were going to swim out, go swimming, go fish, and we were kind of trying to put something more descriptive there. Like, you know what, it really won't matter. I mean, we're just going to chill. We're away from all the stress and aggravation, and we're going to just drink and then chill out and relax, and it really just don't matter. I think I like that idea more.
Yeah, and it definitely went really well with the overall message of the song, which was the dude's checking out, so it really won't matter what he's doing. And it was the perfect way to put that bow on top of the second verse and lead us right into that chorus that reaffirms, I'm done, man. I ain't waiting on 5 o'clock. I'm out right now.
Yeah. I like it.
Yeah.
Well, we decided not to do a bridge as well because I think we've just got enough words. Oh, I would say one more thing before I go into that, though. I really love the mixture of poetic versus conversational lyrics here. I really wanted to try to not overdo the poetic stuff because I think we have so much of that in here that we got so much imagery. I really just wanted to kind of have some conversational lines. So when we said that, it really won't matter what I'll be doing, I feel like it was a good conversational line.
Yeah. I agree with that. I agree.
But we decided on against the bridge, and I think when I do my demo, I think what I'm gonna do is, if I don't come back into one of these pre's, I think I'm actually gonna come in on the second half of the chorus, from something like, or maybe even combine the two pre's or the two. Maybe come back, all the stress and aggravation. I'm on an indefinite vacation from all this overstimulation. Just a combination of those.
Yeah.
Kind of come back in as a bridge and just maybe even just a tag. Like if we want to keep it 2.5 minutes, 3 minutes, we could come back in and kind of tag that chorus, maybe do a combination of the two or something like that.
Yeah.
Which is what I might do, because that's more of an arrangement thing.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, that is a lovely point to transition on right there, because what we had talked about doing is, doing a couple different demo versions. You do one, I do one, and then we'll kind of trade them and listen to the other person's demo and see what we like, see what we did the same, if we did anything the same, and stuff like that, and put that out there for YouTube to check out too. And I thought it might be a fun exercise to to give AI a crack at it too,
Yeah.
because we
Yeah.
can upload that work tape so that everything still is the same motif and same vibe, but we'll let it put a demo together for us, and then we can both critique it and see how in danger our jobs are.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a whole another thing. Hey, I thought of a fourth one if you'd be interested.
Okay.
We don't have to do this, but it could be a cool thing, and really just more so to kind of sort of fill in the gaps of where I know I'm weak. Like you've got that one plugin that's a steel drum. There's a steel drum plugin I've been looking at, but it's like $200. And again, I promised my wife that I wouldn't buy anything else for the moment. So maybe for my demo, like once I present it and once you present yours and we do AI, maybe we can do a last demo that's sort of a combination.
That would be cool.
So what I mean is like I might say, hey, could you put that steel drum plug-in on what I've done, because I know I'd really love to have that steel drum, but I just don't want to go and pay $200 for another plugin. But the other thing is I've got a hunch that you probably are a better lead guitar player than I am, and you're probably, so that being the case, you might be a better bass player than I am. I feel like this needs a bass that's like a little bit more Bob Marley reggae type feel.
Yeah, yeah.
And I just really don't play that well. I can lay down some simple grooves, but I'm wondering, so maybe when we do it all over, maybe just if you could maybe play bass and maybe steel drums or something on.
That would be cool. So yeah, so if you do your whole demo, I'll do my whole demo. We'll see what AI comes up with, and then we can kind of just comp the whole thing for the final version.
Yeah.
Take what we like and what we don't.
Exactly. I think that would be really good.
Brilliant.
But that steel drum plug-in is calling my name. There's so much stuff to buy, man. It's incredible. It's incredible how many plugins and it's all great stuff, man. And it all levels you up, but it's just, it can get pricey.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, what's super crazy is, I don't know if I shared with you when we got back together to finish this rewrite. When we thought it was done the first time, I started to put together a demo, and I sent it to you, and you're like, "Man, I like that steel drum. That sounds really good." And my computer crashed, so I lost all of the work that was on there. So I wound up having to get a new computer and go through the process of getting all the plugins reinstalled and everything like that. But I'm the dummy that forgot to back everything up, so I lost the original progress of what we did, which doesn't matter now because we've changed so much in it that it would have had to be redone anyhow. But so I completely understand things are a little costly.
Some of these plugins and stuff, man, that you buy, like they'll give you 24 hours to download it. Now it's not true with like Universal Audio and Waves and like Native Instruments. You buy that stuff, Tune Tracks. You buy that stuff, and you've pretty much got lifetime access to it. With some stuff, man, like some of the Big Fish Audio stuff, or it's like if you don't back it up, it's gone.
Yeah.
So yeah, I make sure just to back everything up. Again, man, Native Instruments is really good. You can just download it all from Native Access. But yeah, man, it's the samples is probably, if you don't back those up, those could be gone.
Yeah. Yeah. I had it hit me the other day. I was trying to track something, and I was like, oh man, I need this. I have like a plugin that has like a mini Moog in it and a Jupiter, and I'm like, it needs that, and I went looking for the plugin and I can't find it, and I'm like, oh no, is that one of the ones that I can't? That was in the old computer, and now it's not there anymore. So
yeah,
that's a bummer. That's a bummer. I still have to go on the hunting excursion to try to find that.
I just went and bought a really powerful computer a couple of months ago. I wanted that one behind me is just a dedicated audio workspace. It is just completely dedicated to nothing but audio, and I won't do anything else on it but audio. So Studio 1.7's on it, and just that's what I use, Studio 1.7. And but man, transferring everything over took a minute. It really did.
Yeah, yeah, that's a road I don't want to travel down very often.
Yeah,
Getting those
I'm
things back.
hoping. I went and bought myself one that would just I felt like would go the distance, so I didn't have to do it again anytime soon. 32 gigabytes of RAM. It's a Ryzen 7, which I mean it's not a 9, but it's still more powerful than what I had, which was a 5. So it's better CPU. Good stuff, man.
Well, all right.
Well, go ahead.
I think we've got enough content here. What do you think? Is there anything else you want to chat about?
Yeah, just let me get kind of your thoughts real quick as you, and maybe I can glean some ideas, maybe you can glean some ideas about what what are your thoughts or what are your plans on the demo?
So I think I want to try to go with more of the island vibe,
Yeah.
but to try to keep that dreamy, but at the same time, I want to add some type of modern element to it to make it, I don't want to say more relatable, but more listenable, if that makes sense. Because like everything that I've read and learned so far in my last 5 or 6 months of doing this is that you know we we're constantly looking for something that hasn't been done before or hasn't been heard before. So I I, I definitely don't want to keep it in the traditional, Kenny Chesney style or Zach Brown style. I want to do something that's 2025ish, but with that vibe, and even
Yeah.
it's got that what is the calypso? It's got that calypso Cubana style vibe
Mhm.
to it already. So like I think I want to try to pull some type of Latin influence into it. Um, but then again, that was 20 what 2006 2007 when the reggaeton thing started taking over and when that was a vibe. So I don't want to get too old with it. I don't want to get too modern with it, but I want it to kind of encompass all of those things.
We've got to capture that vibe without sounding dated,
Right,
basically.
right. Yeah, I
So that's going to be the challenge.
see. That's why you're a good songwriter, because it just took me 34 paragraphs to say that, and it took you 2 sentences.
Well, man, you say that, but I think if you say, you haven't co-written before, you're not, I mean, dude, you have a lot of natural chops, man. Like you really, I would definitely write with you again. I think it was a pleasant write. It was a good write. We were both stubborn at times, but again, I think that's what it needed. So yeah, man, I think we both are respectful enough towards each other to where that works.
Right.
So I'll definitely write with you again, man. And especially, like I said, we're batting 1,000, so we're
Yeah.
1 for 1.
1 for 1.
Let me tell you just a little bit before we go. Like I was thinking, so I've got this really cool like ukulele plugin. I got a couple of, I'll play the guitar live I'll play my Gibson J45. Nothing beats that through that Army Babyface
That's tough to beat.
interface. So I'll play that. I'll put some of that ukulele kind of in the background, and
Uh-oh.
probably isn't going to be anything to write home about. Is it frozen up?
It did. So you said you were going to put the Gibson on it and the ukulele?
Yeah, and probably I want to have that island vibey bass, but I don't know if I'm a skilled enough bass player to really pull that off. But so we'll see. That remains to be seen. Really, I think simplicity for this one. And I think the right elements. I don't want to layer this one so heavily that it's just everything is. I want to have like ukulele, an acoustic guitar, a bass, like a simple drum.
I was thinking like a
And
cajon or, the djembe. The djembe would probably be a little bit more appropriate. Just to
yeah,
keep it with that
maracas.
island vibe. Yeah, the natural sound of the wood block kind of things, that clicky
Hmm.
clacky sound.
Yeah. What else? What else? Maybe a little bit of electric, tick, 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 maybe just almost as a percussive thing,
Yeah.
kind of in the background, but not again, not layered too much. If the J45, the acoustic guitar, I keep saying J45, it's the acoustic guitar, the electric, the ukulele. If it's all too much, then we can decide, hey, that's a bit too much, too layered.
Yeah.
I think the simplicity and just the right elements is going to really complement just the strength of the lyrics here and the melody.
Yeah. Do we want to put
But it's got to have those that steel drum.
That's non-negotiable. That's got to be in there.
Yeah.
Do we want to put like a time frame on when we turn our demos into the other person?
I think we should, man. I really do. I now, full disclosure, I have started mine already, so I've already mapped it out.
Cheater.
Oh, and I do think a little organ in the background, a little modern sounding organ, just not a pad or piano, but just that little organ sort of turned down in the mix a little bit would give it a cool kind of vibe. I know that because I've already done it. Yeah, I've got a little bit going, so I've got a little head start. But yeah, man, I do think we should put a timestamp on it. What do you think?
Yeah, that would work. What works for you? Let me take a peek at my calendar here to make sure that I give myself a realistic deadline. I'm slammed the whole week. Next week I'm slammed, but the opening week of March, I appear to be pretty open. So what do we say if we do March 6th? That's 2 weeks from today. Is 2 weeks fair?
That sounds perfect. Yeah, I got a client that's doing, like, I'm doing 2 songs back to back with him, so I'm going to be doing his stuff. Yeah, man, I think that sounds great. That sounds totally reasonable. Do you want to handle the AI?
I will. Yeah, so I keep a Suno membership because I use AI for fun stuff. Not for songwriting stuff, but for fun stuff like promotion. My wife teaches line dancing, so I use it to create little jingles and stuff to promote her events, my events, and that kind of stuff.